Trying my first talking to the camera thing because Reen wants me to learn how to YouTube because that'll pay for farm stuff. So I'm going to do a quick tour of the greenhouse and the inside stuff, and I'm going to hope that my camera can turn around while still recording. Hey, look, it can. So here we have a very bolted bit of basil. The leaves are looking a little sickly. I'm not exactly sure what I've done to piss them off. I think it's because I moved them from inside to outside. Even in the greenhouse, it's not obviously quite as warm as inside. But hey, a source of seeds, not a bad thing. We got a dill that's actually doing pretty well. I wasn't too sure about it at first. We tried out this thing we saw online about using cardboard for mulch. I'm gonna call it a mixed bag so far. It does seem to help keep the soil a bit more moist, but it doesn't so far seem to help a hell of a lot with our ongoing problem with what I'm fairly certain are aphids. These are some garlics that I buried last fall on the advice of the internet. Then I got tired of using up one of my huge barrel planters for them, so I'm trying something different. They look like hell, and they probably will be. We got some rosemary that started, I don't know, I don't know when, because I didn't bother dating that one, but they're doing okay to start. This is one of our mysterious quote-unquote succulents that I ordered off Wish last year, and we still don't know what the hell it is. There's another one inside that's doing a lot better. This is, I think, a ghost pepper, maybe a Scotch bonnet. It's a bit sickly. Again, I left it out over the winter to see what would happen. It's an experiment crop. The ones that are inside are doing better, and they're several months newer. This bean plant has been in here for a while. Beans, depending on the variety, can be relatively frost resistant, so I thought I'd see how it would do over the winter. It hasn't died, but it hasn't done much in several months. The world's saddest chives. This mob of insanity is Shasta daisies, which I planted, I think, spring last year, and over the summer we watched them grow and then not ever come close to making a flower. Now, I need to see if I can get into one. For the first time, there are some little buds here and there. Maybe I can get into one. But yeah, there are some, what appears to be almost flowers getting started, which is, not unexciting. Parsley, which quite possibly is the thing that I'm best at growing, apparently. This stuff has gone wild. I've integrated it into so many things. We got some green onions and a volunteer something back here. I don't know what it is, but the green onions don't seem to give a shit about it, so I'm just going to let it fly for now. See if it turns into something. Some basil that is also annoyed with me for having brought it outside. Here's our very, very high-tech power bar in freezer bags, and a little tiny office desk-sized heater. That and a bunch of these purple lights are how we get away with having this outdoor stuff. This is sort of the we got all the plant identification apps I have do not know what this is. It's probably a weed. It popped up in some other stuff. I collected it and put it into a pot just to see what happened. This was part of the original mystery succulent set. Pretty damn sure it's just some sort of clover. This is our greens bin. So I started some arugula a while ago, and it came up pretty well. It is supposed to be a cold hardy crop, but it did seem to bolt very quickly. As you can see, we actually have our first flowers. We had seen some signs that they were going to try to flower a while ago, but they hadn't actually quite gotten past the budding stage. Now they're properly flowering, which, not ideal from a leaf collection perspective, but it does mean that we'll have seed going forward. I actually forgot that at some point I tucked some romaine in here. So we've got an interesting mix, and as you'll see when we go inside, we got a crap ton more greens coming up as shoots. A couple more beans. I'm moderately confident that this is garlic or onion. Our first marigold of the season. I'm gonna squat down here. These are, we ended up with two different seed types of cilantro. I tried growing both, and so far both are doing pretty well. So, you know, fingers crossed on that. And down here, first off, this is a new addition. Last fall, I started a snow pea inside a shelf and just wrapped it in poly. We didn't have the greenhouse yet. And that and a lemongrass that I stuck in there both died frozen deaths. So this is our first pea of this season, along with a few beets and some carrots. And now we'll go inside. Also, we've got, you know, literal chicken shit, worm shit, all sorts of weird things, and a bunch of drinks. Soil buckets for days. Yeah, we've got a nice southern exposure. As it turns out, we didn't know this. We actually have the only unit in the building that has a proper wraparound balcony, so we have the best light in the building until that condo, and that condo, and that condo, and that condo are all finished, and then suddenly this place is in the dark. We have a lemon tree that we started from a seed from a lemon from the grocery store. A tamarind tree, which our dear friend Christina was happy to, well, I hope happy to source for us from her friend. An avocado that's also from a grocery store avocado. Now this is I mentioned earlier we had the mystery succulent. This is the far larger brother one. Some thyme and oregano. My elephant watering can. I've just today planted a bunch of different flowers, some jalapeno, some sunflower. This insanity is on the side that's still covered is some determinate full-size tomatoes, 3 or 4 different heirloom cherry tomato varieties, and a couple of bell peppers, and then this side is romaine and arugula. Over here we have an experiment. Basically we're having a race. In here we have a ginger root that is just in water, and way up here we have one that's in wet soil. We want to see which one's going to root first. Down here we have ghost peppers, Scotch bonnets, and a red jalapeno that came out of a hot mix that we grew last year. We saved the seeds, so we're waiting to see what happens. And up here we have a new herb pot that I've planted. Same as here. Basically, I put a few different ones in the same pot so that if we want to give some away to people, we can do so fairly easily. This is lemongrass. Here's a bunch of things that I've just taken cuttings of to see what will root and what won't. We got some leek, a couple different kinds of parsley. Oh, another arugula flower. I didn't even know. Some mint. I threw a leaf of spinach in there because why the hell not, right? More oregano and thyme. Lemongrass. Mint. This one, honestly, it was a volunteer. It popped out. I noticed it's almost the same as this volunteer that I just noticed earlier. And this is another volunteer. So we have a few things that I'm just letting grow that aren't really anything yet, in hopes that it turns out that there's something. And if not, lessons are learned. Let's see what else I want to show you. Well, we have this really fun thing from our friend Damon. It's a larger old school for, you know, proper film that we use as a mount for a lot of our lighting. We have purple lighting outside that we had inside originally, but found to be a little weird because it turned our world differently colored. The other day, we had a series of buckets hanging from a braided piece of twine from this C-clamp. I was pulling something to get a look at something that was ever so slightly above my eye line, and it broke. I mostly got to catch it. The only thing that really seemed to get any damage was the lemongrass, and it seems to be coming back. But that was what led to us switching back to the shelving because it was just a better choice. I hope that was moderately informative. I will do it around because that's better than looking at me. Look, a globe, funny lighting, a moose, a robot, sad lighting. Those of you who suffer from it will know what I'm talking about. And over there, well, first off, a big-ass pot of the first time I've tried making vegetable stock, and also fresh shepherd's pie. It's going to be a good evening. Bye, everybody. By which I mean Emily.